With the spooky season coming to an end, I figured I'd count down the top 10 scariest places in video games. With all sorts of games featuring some frightening locations, and there even being complete genres of gaming dedicated to scaring the crap out of you, this list was tough to nail down. I'd like to thank my good friend Fates, whose Twitch and YouTube channel will be in the description below, for all his expert horror game advice and all his help in making this video. I'd also like to both thank and curse the great and terrible developers who made these terrifying places. Be sure to dim the lights, grab a bag of snacks to hide behind, like, subscribe, and turn notifications to all. Now let's begin.
Number 10.
Shadowrun on the Sega Genesis is an incredible Western RPG that I played a ton growing up. In Shadowrun's future, the era of magic is once again upon us as people devolve back into orcs, elves, ghouls, and vampires. Shadowrun is the perfect blend of cyberpunk and high fantasy, but set in a dystopian version of our modern world. There are all kinds of abandoned buildings that are full of ghouls and gargoyles, but these aren't even the scariest places in the game. With the rebirth of magic, the Native Americans were able to take back some of their land, and to warn off all unwanted guests, they've filled their wilderness with totem poles topped with skeletons of the dead. In the Celestidae wilderness, hundreds of years of oppression are avenged by powerful Wendigo, invisible demons, and worst of all, hellhounds. If you encounter any of these at mid or lower levels, you and your party will be absolutely destroyed. Even at higher levels, Wendigo and hellhounds will eventually pick apart your party members, leaving you to try and make your way out of this deadly wilderness alone. In the Celestidae wilderness, terror literally lurks around every corner. From the caverns to even the small villages, you're never alone and always at risk of getting party wiped.
Number 9.
Sweet Home on the Famicom is one of my favorite Famicom or NES games of all time. I played it for the first time this October and was repeatedly blown away by how well the game holds up, as well as how ahead of its time it was. This game was the spiritual predecessor to the Resident Evil franchise, and you can really tell. With its small puzzles, slow opening creepy doors, and of course its gigantic haunted-ass mansion. I won't say much to not spoil the story or atmosphere, but basically once you enter the horrifying Mamiya mansion, you and your companions become trapped, and have to both solve the mysteries that live inside, as well as find a way out of this dreadful place. With a great looking but creepy design, each room and area in the mansion is unique, allowing you to slowly memorize the locations and work your way through the horrors they hold. For being such a creepy place as well as telling a great story, the Mamiya Mansion creeps its way to the 9th spot.
Number 8.
How could I do a list like this without including Dracula's Castle from Castlevania? I've played through every Castlevania game now, and even did a top 10 Castlevania games video that you can check out, so I have a ton of respect and admiration for Dracula's haunting home. With the ability to take on an infinite number of forms and being home to countless demons and monsters, Dracula's Castle is always a terrifying journey to its throne room, where Dracula himself often waits. The Belmonts and many others have their work cut out for them as they face off against werewolves, zombies, Frankenstein monsters, mummies, whatever the fuck this thing is, and pretty much everything frightening under the full moon on their trek to the top. For being scary across multiple games and generations, Dracula's Castle just had to be in here.
Number 7.
Final Fantasy VIII was the game that got me back into JRPGs, as it was the first JRPG I had played after becoming old enough to read and fully understand what was going on in the story. So when I got to Ultimecia Castle for the first time, I was horrified. The castle itself does look a bit spooky, but it's what lies within and what happens to your party that makes it so damn terrifying. Once inside, you lose the use of pretty much all of your abilities, and the only way to get them back is by fighting some creepy ass hard as fuck boss fights. Each time you defeat a boss, you're given your options on what ability you want to have back. For anyone who had been relying on GFs, this game's summons, for their entire playthrough to deal damage, they're pretty much screwed. Did I mention there's no escape from Ultimecia Castle? I mean there is, but it involves getting pretty deep into the castle, and you only get access to a small part of the world map, or defeating Ultimecia and causing time to compress back on itself. For completely breaking my balls as a teen and making me deathly afraid every time I walk into it, Ultimecia Castle easily takes the number 7 spot.
Number 6.
I'm not a big first-person shooter guy, but the F.E.A.R games are absolutely incredible. They're the perfect mix of horror and badass shooter. Giving you extra abilities that allow you to avoid damage while dishing out some extra of your own, these games also had a great and messed up story. All of which comes to a head in the final mission of F.E.A.R 2, Climax. During Climax, you end up strapped in a chair and confronted by the series' main source of creepiness, Elma. Elma was taken in by Armacham Technology Corporation at only 8 years old to be experimented on due to her psychic abilities. After spending most of her life in a medically induced coma on life support and being impregnated multiple times by the time she was 16 years old, Elma is out for revenge for her disgusting mistreatment. Once tied down, Elma enters your mind and all sorts of creepy imagery and shenanigans ensue. Are we seeing what's in her mind, or what's in ours? As you wander around being scared shitless in this bizarre melding of minds, you're often reminded of how helpless you are, still strapped down in that metal chair alone with Elma. It's only at the end where you realize the most messed up thing of all has happened while your mind was preoccupied. Let's just say some crazy shit goes on in your mind when you reach Climax. There's no way I couldn't include this dark place inside your mind on the list.
Number 5.
If you haven't seen John Carpenter's The Thing, go check it out. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, along with John Carpenter's Halloween. The Thing was a great and terrifying movie involving an alien creature crash landing in Antarctica and taking over and even becoming the people and creatures at a research base nearby. The Thing on PlayStation 2 takes place after the events of the movie, where you're sent in as a rescue team to find out what the heck has happened to the previous team and how to deal with it. The entire atmosphere of Antarctica is creepy in that while inside buildings, you know you're being stalked, attacked, and even taken over by the Thing. The only escape from these eerie buildings is the punishing outdoors. While outside, you can only survive for a limited time due to the harsh and horrifying elements. Not only are you having to deal with the cold, but yes, the Thing and its creatures will also track you down and take over your compatriots in the great outdoors. There's no place to hide, and not even your own team members can be trusted. Anyone and anything could lead to your downfall. For being the perfect backdrop to a great story and never giving you a moment to let your guard down, Antarctica from The Thing locks in its place at number 5.
Number 4.
The Resident Evil franchise is full of scary places, but most Resident Evil fans, when asked which is their favorite game in the franchise, will tell you it's Code Veronica. And when asked what the creepiest location is, a lot of them will say it's the private residence in the Ashford mansion. Basically a high-class residence, the private residence welcomes you with the image of what appears to be someone hanging themselves from the rafters. In order to fully reveal what's going on, you must slowly and cautiously make your way up the stairs to reveal an eerie statue hanging from the ceiling. In fact, the further you go into this residence, the more messed up statues and artifacts you'll find. Not only that, but you'll find Albert cross-dressing in the halls and pretending to be his sister Alexia, who has been injected with the horrifying and powerful T. Veronica virus. Albert has gone completely mad and is out of touch with reality, but living here in the Ashford mansion really couldn't have helped his mental state. For being the scariest place in one of the scariest Resident Evil games, the private residence of the Ashford mansion lands in the 4th position.
Number 3.
The Dead Space games were super popular back when they first came out, and they obviously survived the test of time, as pretty much every new IP announced this year ended up being some sort of Dead Space clone. In a series focused on being alone in space with a terrifying parasitic alien called necromorphs, which use the bodies of the dead to reproduce and suit their needs, the daycare and elementary school is the worst. Immediately upon entering, you hear the twisted cries of babies. You then slowly creep through the halls until you see a daycare through the window, and all of a sudden this tick-like baby drags itself across the floor and explodes. Soon you'll be running for your life, attempting to fight off alien children hybrids and tick babies as they chase you around the school gymnasium. This place and its eerie atmosphere, where things were originally meant to be cute and calming, is just so damn disturbing. Every moment spent in this place is a moment spent wishing you could be anywhere else.
Number 2.
You knew Silent Hill was going to be in here, but you didn't know where. Silent Hill is a place filled with the horrors of the mind as well as, fog. Lots and lots of rust and fog. Taking what the main characters fear most and bringing it to life to create their own personal hell is what Silent Hill is best at. From creepy yet sexy faceless nurses, to Pyramid Head, to giant fucking cock creatures, Silent Hill's got it all. If you're a fan of horror and you haven't played the original 4 Silent Hill games, you really owe it to yourself to play them. And now that Silent Hill 2 has been announced for the PS5, definitely check that shit out. If you're terrible at puzzles like myself and get scared easily, maybe watch a Let's Play or watch someone stream them. Silent Hill itself is like a character that leads the player on a journey of self-discovery. The problem is that what you'll discover are the darkest parts of your psyche come to life. The only Silent Hill game I've been able to beat was Silent Hill 4, but all 4 Silent Hill games on the PS1 and PS2 are really well done. The music, sounds, creature, and atmosphere are like nothing else in gaming.
Number 1.
Now you're all probably wondering what could possibly top the Scariest Places from such notoriously terrifying franchises like Dead Space, Resident Evil, and Silent Hill. Well, I've got one place that I noped the fuck out of about 20 minutes in. This is the Mount Massive Asylum from Outlast. In Outlast, you can only really see in the dark with the use of your video camera, which has its own battery charge. A lot of the locations you'll come across are dark, and the ones that aren't, you'll wish were. Every moment in this twisted asylum will make your mind race and your stomach turn. The patients and the people who mess with them are all eerie prisoners to this place, and it's up to you to try to uncover and document the horrors within. Everything is so much scarier when you don't come in with guns or weapons to fight off what lies ahead. You've got to use stealth and intellect to try to survive and delve further into this madhouse. This game is easily the scariest game I've ever experienced, to the point where I ended up noping out and straight up uninstalling this bitch after getting the crap scared out of me multiple times in a short attempt at playing through it. I was told this game was damn scary, and I should have listened. Screw this game, and screw the Mount Massive Asylum. Thanks for watching. Let me know some of the scariest places you've ever experienced in video games, and be sure to like, subscribe, and set notifications to all if you enjoyed this video. I'd love to give a special thanks to my buddy Fates, who can be found on Twitch at twitch.tv/gamerswithguts_Fates. He acted as my specialist when it comes to some of the horror games I wasn't able to get through myself. You can also join me live on Twitch at least 3 nights per week at twitch.tv/dookie03. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. Right, I forgot that was the thing. What? No! Oh my god. Oh my god.
Witness or whatever.
Does the elevator work? Don't take the elevator. Do not take the elevator, apparently.